welcome back. It has been 3 weeks since we last published an episode.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
When it goes live, it will have been a month, so life's been a little busy.
That it has for being the winter. Well, I guess with us both kind of coaching and stuff,
Yep.
life does get hectic. Normally winters slow down, when it
Right.
comes to
Automotive stuff.
automotive business and stuff like that. But, with that being said, it's good to be busy.
Yeah.
It's good to be busy, and it's also good to be back.
Yes.
Kind of excited
It's good to be back.
to get another one done.
And it's going to ramp up in the shop here. It's already ramped up a bit just in the last week. I feel like we've gotten way more appointments.
Yeah, we're definitely cruising right along. Lots of different projects going on. A couple jobs that we're working through on the dyno. Lots of suspension work. Still doing a decent bit of undercoating. Trying to get people protected. Here in Ohio, it's just the weather's all over the place. It could be 65 today, which it's going to be. And tomorrow it could be 10 degrees out and sleeting and
Well, I think we had
snowing.
that last week. It was like 60 one day and 20 and snowy the next. And yeah.
The joys of Ohio.
Well, I think the weather's supposed to be good for all this week up until the weekend, so I'm going to enjoy it while I can. I'll have a clean car for more than a day and a half finally, so...
I've got a lot of vehicles to clean myself.
Yeah. I cleaned my interior for, I think, the first time in 3 months, which feels so nice getting in a clean car
How long
finally.
does it take you to clean that big thing?
Just the interior, if I'm going really deep, like an hour.
About an hour.
But if it, kind of what I did was vacuum and get the floor mats good enough and didn't do any windows, it was like 30 minutes.
Nice, yeah.
But
my vehicles are all big and take too long to clean.
yeah, if I'm doing a full wash, it's normally between setting up, tearing down, washing, and everything, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, I got a little bit of catch-up work to do.
Yep.
We're going to be mowing grass before
Oh yeah.
too long, too, so I need to get my vehicles clean before we get into, yard work mode.
Yeah. I was talking with my dad last night. We got to do an oil change on the mower.
Yeah.
We've never done one on the mower, so it is way overdue. that thing is screaming
I should bring
for
mine
help.
over. Mine needs all the service and the blades replaced.
Well, I think I know a place that might be able to take care of you.
Oh, trust me, it's on the to-do list.
Yeah, which
on the
which
to-do
guy
list.
is going to be super excited to work on the lawnmower?
I'll probably just do it here at the house. It's too much work to bring it into the shop.
That is true, getting the mower down to the shop.
But, if you need help with yours,
Yeah.
call and set up an appointment.
If you're willing to get your mower over,
Yep, that's
we'll
right.
do it.
Yeah.
If it's got a motor.
I think I've got pictures. I'll dig back through my archives and see if we've got some pictures. We had it up on the 2 posts. I don't know if that was last year or the year before. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
So,
We're coming up on a year, but haven't seen a lawnmower yet.
yep. I'll have to see. If I can dig through the archives.
Right.
So yeah, what are we going to talk about today?
We got a few different topics. First one we got, gas prices are down.
Gas
What'd you say? You said
prices.
30 cents?
Yeah, gas
Year-over-year?
prices from the report that I saw, gas prices at this time last year were averaging $3.39.
Okay.
And right now we're sitting around $3.09.
Okay.
So
I've been able to tell.
Yeah.
I got up at 93 in the Golf, so I've been able to tell.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, I run either 93 and everything because the 2 vehicles that I drive the most are, boosted vehicles.
Yep.
So we're running 93 in those. And then I also have the diesel truck. And that's the other thing that I've noticed is, like, when I first got the truck, diesel, was way more expensive than 93.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of sitting in a spot where diesel's actually, come way down. It's been kind of nice to have a diesel truck when the diesel prices are, low.
Right.
So that's been good.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot going on in the economy. People are concerned about, or maybe you're concerned. I think we're just kind of in this pattern right now where we got to let things kind of shift and adjust.
Yeah.
And, the fuel prices being where they're at is helpful. So
Yeah, I think I paid with some perks for 93. I think I paid $3.26 a gallon.
Nice.
The other day.
Nice.
That was nice. Well, the unfortunate part is I can use those perks, but even if I let my tank go close to empty, I'm only putting 13 gallons in. So I don't save a ton, but it's nice.
You don't have that 40-gallon tank on that thing?
Nope. No aux tank or anything like that. But get about 300 miles.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, driving up for the basketball tournament, my MPG finally was above 21 miles per gallon. I was at 25 because it's just a straight shot up Route 3.
Nice.
So it's 55 is the speed limit the whole way.
Yeah, that helps.
So that was nice, but now I'm driving back around town, and it's probably going to go back down to, especially with it being warm, I'm driving with the windows down, and I stole the car. So it's probably going to go back below 20.
That's a good question. What is the temperature at which you feel is window downtime?
If I'm wearing a hoodie and it's sunny out, 50.
50? Okay.
But also that's coming out of winter.
Yeah.
If it's going into fall, winter, 50, I'm probably cracking the windows, not putting them down. So this time of year, it's I can finally put them down, and I've got a hoodie on and the sun's out, 50's probably.
Nice.
I'm starting to put them down. But
Yeah, tell us your thoughts. I'm kind of interested. I like the windows down. I like the AC on, but,
I'm all about the windows down.
it's
Even when it's really hot out, it's windows down.
yeah.
Mostly
Windows down
because
are nice.
driving with the air conditioning on in a manual, all of my shift points change because it's taking more power out
Yep.
and my RPMs drop faster.
Yep.
So then my muscle memory is
Can't have that
bad.
extra drag on the motor.
Well, I'm driving it all jerky because my muscle memory is for it not having the AC on. And, yeah, the drag on the motor. How much
Yep.
horsepower am I losing? I'm trying to drive fast everywhere.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to reroute that AC into the intake.
I like having air conditioning when I need it, but I'm not doing an AC delete. I know that much. I don't have a race car. I don't need to shave all that weight. So.
Right.
So with all of the gas prices, you told me that TRX is coming back with a Hemi.
Yeah,
Ram's
well,
announced.
so, Ram announced, or I saw a press release that came out that they're bringing back the Hemi in the Dodge platform. So, don't know what the TRX is going to end up having in it, but it does sound like it sounds like the market has spoken.
Yes.
And, with whether you want to point back to election change or, what administration change or whatever, Americans just like their V8s.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm curious to see if they decide they're going to put the Hemi into other trucks. Because I know that they've talked about they're all getting replaced with a Hurricane, right?
Yeah, I think Ford's done really well with the EcoBoost, and I think that has gained some respect. But with that being said, it doesn't cover every need
No.
and every desire of the buyer.
Nope.
So, they've done well with the 5-liter when they brought the 5-liter out.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see kind of the same pattern across the board. You really have seen that with, GM went more with the small diesel motor in their half-ton trucks, and then still had the V8. I think Dodge obviously, went to the 6-cylinder. I think it's one of those things where that's kind of sorting itself out. But ultimately, the American buyers are
Going to talk with their wallet.
they're going to talk with their money, and I don't really see a time where they don't want, in the masses, don't want some sort of V8 power.
Yeah.
It's been too good for too long.
Yeah, at least in a truck.
Yeah, it's been too good for too long.
Because unfortunately, it seems like Ford's the only one with a V8 in a car now with Mustang, or at least will be
yeah.
in some sort of sports car.
Yeah, I would expect that that Dodge brings back
You think
the
they
Challenger Charger, with the V8
With the
option.
V8.
I would think.
Yeah.
We'll see, but that was be interested to look what their market share. So across that platform, across all Dodge cars, Charger, Challenger. I don't know when they did away with the 300 exactly, but across those cars, how much of that what made up their sales numbers? Because I think when you start looking at that, even go into like the Durangos V8s, like I would say predominantly that's where their sales numbers are in the U.S. So it's going to be hard to completely go away from that and not feel some sort of hit. I just don't think buyers are there.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
And it hasn't really been proven that the V8s versus the 6-cylinders that there's that big of a gap between the fuel economy and the efficiency. So
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see.
I think there's still a lot to be worked out there, but
the Cadillac F1 entry finally got approved.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at that a little bit.
I don't know how up to date you are with all that.
Not a whole lot. I was looking at a couple of things.
See, I keep up with F1 quite a bit. I just
is that your go-to series, F1 over
I enjoy
NASCAR?
IndyCar more.
Okay.
F1's just easier to watch. No ads. They have their own streaming. IndyCar, until they get something like that, it just won't be as easy to watch. It is better this year, so they're on Fox instead of NBC, and they're doing side-by-side ads like they do for NASCAR.
Okay.
On Fox, but on NBC,
which I think helped a ton.
Yeah, on NBC and Peacock, I paid for the ad-free Peacock, thinking they won't cut away from the races. They just will play the race without commentary while it's an ad break. No, I just get a black screen that says we'll be back shortly.
Oh, that's no
So
fun.
I don't get to watch the live race, but I don't have ads. So what's the point?
Yeah, what is the point?
That
is
so
kind of
Fox so far. Just that alone has made it so much better, and they kept most of the commentary team. So IndyCar, I think, is a better racing product 100% than Formula One.
Okay.
Formula One just brings the personalities and everything and the drama and everything to the forefront. It's just easier for people, especially with the Netflix series. Like I know Jake doesn't even watch F1. He just watches the Drive to Survive series.
Yeah.
And the problem is with that, they manufacture storylines.
Well, you have to, right?
Well,
it's hard to keep storylines going if you don't, manufacture some of them.
Well, there were plenty that they just straight up didn't cover this year. I forget which two drivers were bumping heads. They didn't cover in this review of last year, but they made up Max Verstappen and Lando Norris butting heads after Max lost a race to Lando's first ever race win. They spliced in him Max being upset at a race later in the year. So he's wearing the hat for the Dutch Grand Prix and is upset at the Miami Grand Prix earlier in the year. So it's that type of manufacturing.
Yeah.
Where it's not even hard to disprove that they're doing that. But yeah, but Cadillac F1 being in is cool.
You said it was the first All-American team?
That's what I would call a truly American team.
Okay.
So there's Haas is in there right now, but they really are a Ferrari junior team, and the main sponsor and the money comes from Gene Haas. But other than that, I would call it more of a junior Ferrari, call it an Italian American team. Whereas Cadillac, I think they will have a UK based to start. The thing is, at first it was Cadillac Andretti. They didn't allow them to join with Andretti as a part of it. So I'm curious to see if it will be truly American, because Andretti wanted their headquarters to be in the U.S. and all of that.
Yep.
I don't know if Cadillac will continue in that direction, or if they'll use the facility that Andretti was building in the U.S. and it just won't be called that. The politics behind it has been pretty crazy, because basically Andretti came in and badmouthed a lot of the Formula One people, and because he did that, they were like, well, we don't want you here if you already hate us. So
yeah, it is a big racing in general has kind of become that, much like the NBA, right? Just a big soap opera.
Right, yeah. And it's all about who you can get to bite into the drama. Yeah, Cadillac being in, well, and Audi's going to take over a team next year. So there will be another manufacturer. They're poking fun at Mercedes and saying that they're going to be the first truly German team because Mercedes is based in the UK, but Audi's going to be based in Germany.
Well, I'm kind of interested in this as more of a platform, you know, of the worlds where you have, you know, not like, I guess kind of like an Olympic type of structure where, you know, bring the best of the best. Now, how you police the advantages, the cars, the motors, so on and so forth, that'd have to be worked out a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
Kind of like Cars 2, you're thinking?
yeah, a little bit.
Bringing the IMSA cars, the Indy cars, the F1.
Right. Maybe what we do is we just go all in and we hit all of them. Like, you have to, you know, we can go off-road. We can have an off-road series, you know, dirt track, you know, road course, so on. So, I mean, just go on down the line. This might have to play out over, like, a 5-year span to see who really dominates transportation.
They do have one, but it's drivers, nationalities.
Heck, we'll even put in air, you know. You seen the like the Red Bull air races that they do? Oh, I mean, we can bring it all in. Speedboats.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something.
Yeah. So there's a race, it's like called Race of the Worlds or something.
Yep, I've heard of that. I don't know a lot about it.
It's basically rally cross.
Okay.
Head-to-head driving. So Carl Edwards beat seven-time champ Michael Schumacher.
Yep.
At one point doing it, and then this year, his son competed with a different German driver.
So think about golf, right? Is it the what are some of the golf things where they do U.S. versus, you know, like the Ryder Cup, right? It's U.S. versus.
Yeah, I don't know anything about golf. This is all you.
All right. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. The platform is America versus you know, whoever wants to enter, got to enter, but you've got to compete. It's winner takes all.
Yeah.
You know, and bring the best of the best.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this.
That could be a cool hypothetical, but I don't know that all these brands. It's already hard enough to get some of these brands to pour money into motorsport.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why it's crazy that Cadillac is in it at all.
Well, let's talk about that, right? So, you know, I don't know if the average person, maybe the person that is an enthusiast, automotive enthusiast knows, but I don't know if the average person knows where racing came from. And, you know, so you start looking at kind of the history of racing, whether that was automotive, you know, motorcycle racing. It was all kind of pushing, and this is why the factories got behind it. You know, it was an outside entity a lot of times saying, hey, I love your product, sponsor me, I'll get it out there.
Right.
We'll push the limits, but then it became, oh, hey, light bulb moment. We've got an opportunity to try things in a race, you know, scenario to see what works and what doesn't work. And then they take some of that information and data and then, you know, look at it and say, hey, does this make sense to bring into production that we're doing? And so, you know,
like
racing.
You said, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, there is a big selling point. I don't know how big that is anymore.
I think it's changed a lot, but and that would be an interesting, you know, topic to hit with some of the you know, higher ups in the. I think a lot of these automotive manufacturers had. I just feel like they've lost their way to an extent at some point where we brought up, I think, in one of the previous podcasts, like some of them went all in on like bringing fashion designers in, and that as much as, you know, I think that's great. You want to get ideas from different areas. You can go way too far, and you get away from, you know, like yanking the V8 out of, you know, the Charger or the Challenger.
Right.
Well, everybody that's alive right now for the most part. Yeah, you have some new generation people coming in that maybe don't remember, you know, the 70s and 80s, but the people that are buying those cars aren't going to buy, you know, a 4-cylinder version or probably even an electric version of that car because there's not the tie to it. We talked about the movies, right?
Yeah.
And the movies just like the racing, right? You see it on a movie and you're like, oh, I really like that.
Right.
And now it becomes something that your brain's fixated on and you're like, I gotta have that car.
Right.
I gotta have that car.
Yeah. Now the problem is cars are getting so expensive and manufacturers are keying on there's too many buyers who don't know anything about motors or transmissions and just make them look kind of sporty and sell them the cheaper one with the worst motor, worst transmission, but it looks sporty and they eat it up. I remember when I was at my last job, I drove some Hyundai something. It's this sport edition.
Velociraptor?
No, it wasn't a Veloster.
Not that.
No, it was some just sedan. It had the same thing as a normal commuter model, but they had put red trim on it and blacked it all out, and it had a fancy looking interior. It was, when I floored the gas on that, I don't know that I've ever been more disappointed in a car. It just
0 to
fell
60
on
in
its
like
face.
25 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know, but people love that stuff. It's like the 10th gen Civic. They threw all these fake vents on it. People ate it up because it looks like a sports car, but it has a CVT and a soulless, 4-cylinder, like, that people don't know. I remember one of my buddies, he bought a Civic. Now he's got a Tesla. But he bought a Civic, put a Type R wing on it, an intake, and all this stuff, and tried to make it look like a Type R, but it was a CVT base model Civic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things, like, to bring our business back into, the conversation. That's one of the things that we really like doing is helping the consumer, educating the consumer in terms of what's out there. Sometimes it makes sense to not go buy the Hellcat and just add it, say, the supercharger and some aftermarket
to an RT
goodies, to a Scat Pack or something like that. But then on the other side of that, sometimes if, depending on what your goals are, if it's collectability, things like that, then it might make sense, to go the other route and buy, the jailbroke Hellcat and hold on to it.
Right.
And not really touch it a whole lot. So, I mean, there are different, there are all kinds of opportunities, right, in the automotive world, but it is interesting where you see some people, like what you're talking about, they go and spend money on that, and it's like, you could actually bought the real thing and done what you did to it for what you have in that.
Yeah, you could have a Civic Si that's actually decently quick and fun to drive, but then you got to drive a manual, and some people don't want to do that. And yeah.
Very interesting.
The car market is full of diverse buyers.
Very diverse. And I think, it's, I mentioned this maybe in the last podcast, it's kind of the wild, wild west again, where everybody's jockeying for position and fighting for position on, there's been a couple of people come out in the EV segment that have obviously made headway and are leading, but I don't think we're quite there where, and so you have the OE manufacturer. I say the OE manufacturers. You have the major American manufacturers, GM, Dodge, Ford. They've been trying to figure out the EV, but not go completely away from their
bread and butter and the combustion.
Yeah. And so that's been, a challenge, and, you can go dig and look what partnerships do they make with other companies that are already doing EV, how does that affect their current offerings, so on and so forth. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Like Honda's Prologue, it's just whatever Chevy's EV is rebadged. And I've seen a lot of people talking really badly about the Honda. Normal Honda buyers like, this is the most unreliable Honda I've ever bought. Well, it's because you bought a GM product, but it's also an EV.
Well,
it was a rush to market GM EV with a Honda badge on it. It was never going to be
We should
reliable.
visit the list of vehicles over the last, say, 2 decades
that are just rebadged.
that were just rebadged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a really interesting one, just to look at, like, all the list of vehicles where they're just rebadged vehicles.
Yeah, it's always funny to see people buy them and have no idea, and they're upset. It's like, well, if you did a lick of research, you might not be so upset. But an educated car buyer is hard to sell to sometimes. So salespeople love to just, especially at the dealers, they love to swoop in.
Which is why you should never really buy your aftermarket accessories from the dealer.
Yep.
Buy the vehicle.
Yes.
Get what you're getting and move on.
Yep.
Because they're sitting there trying to make, everything they can.
Hand over fist.
Like, I remember when, ceramic coatings first came out, and these people were, I know they are. These people, I feel bad for a lot of these people because they think they're getting something, but they're paying these lot techs nothing, or detail techs nothing, to go in there and basically not even really wax the vehicle, and they're not putting any sort of coating on there.
No.
And it just...
Yeah, when my dad bought his car, it came with the protection package. I went out and looked at it. I said, Dad, there's nothing on this.
Yeah.
But he didn't. It was one of those things where it was like, they're not budging on it. It's basically all of their fees are now being disguised as this.
Yep.
So it's like, what are you going to do?
What do you do? Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
And they hard sell you on it, and they're burying all that extra profit in there on you.
Yeah.
Like, well, we gave you, $3,000 off. I need you to do this $1,000, protection package.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you gave me $2,000 off, maybe.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he washed his car the other day, and as he's rinsing it down, we haven't put a coating on it yet, but I'm like, there's nothing on it. They said it was this 3-year, whatever, ultra beating Armor All. All they did was spray Armor All.
Did they catch it on fire in front of them? They were like, lit the car on fire, and like, look.
No.
No, they didn't do that?
Well, I mean, maybe. I left before he closed the deal. I had to go to work. But they sprayed those floor mats with Armor All to where they were slippery.
Man.
We had to go home, and I used the Jax Wax Super Citrus.
Nice.
And just, that's my go-to with floor mats. You just spray it on there, let it sit for a minute, power wash it off, let it dry. It takes everything off, including slippery Armor All.
Absolutely. Well, we were talking about cars, and I mentioned to you earlier before we got on about what's the reality of a flying car. And I don't know if you saw the news, but, and I don't even know how to pronounce this, ALEF, A-L-E-F.
ALEF?
ALEF, Aeronautics, they're a California-based company, and they have just been granted FAA approval to test their Model A car. Their Model A car is the first electric vehicle that can both drive and fly to receive U.S. government approval. The Model 0 prototype is shown to be able to take off vertically on public roads. It also it conceals, and when they say rotors, I'm assuming they're flying mechanism that they're talking about here, not like brake rotors.
Right.
It's got 4 in the front and 4 at the back. It's got a driving range of 200 miles and a flight range of 110 miles. And I think we should probably start saving now, because pre-orders are expected to be priced at $299,999.
I will be saving for a house, not for the flying car.
Well, maybe your house will fly.
It is interesting. You think, so this thing looks like it's 3D printed. It looks crazy.
It does not look...
And on their website, it shows, this downtown, you get up and you fly from one part of downtown to the next. How will that be regulated? That's not... I doubt that, a bunch of these places are saying, we'll cut down on your commute. You can't even fly a helicopter through there. It's so tight through the FAA and everything. The regulations around something like this will be quite the Wild West.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how this ends up working.
Yeah, if one of these hits the market and some uber rich person buys it and then just starts flying at places they shouldn't, that's gonna
Yeah, this is a whole nother.
Yeah.
This is a whole nother.
But maybe it'll be like the DJI drones. You can't fly them in certain areas. It'll like shut you down. I bet it'll have something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
But who knows? Then people will jailbreak it. And
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. You know, are we years away? Are we decades away?
right.
Are we never going to get there?
Right. Is this like Google's car that they came out with forever ago that just died on its face? That like it's never going to go anywhere.
I don't know if I remember this.
It was like early EV self-driving.
Huh.
The Google car. But they were going to manufacture it. As I Google it, it like keeps showing the Waymo. Yeah, this little goofy looking.
Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be this self-driving, and it's dead. It's never coming to market. Yeah, this article from The Guardian has a thing at the top that says this article is more than 10 years old. Google's self-driving car. How does it work, and when can we drive one? Yeah, never. So who knows? But I do think this Google car started Waymo and all of the self-driving technology around that. And that's, played in a bunch of other things. So who knows? This Aleph car may never make it to market, but who knows what technology, You know what this looks like is the McCurdy race car. You know what I'm talking about? That's at the, what is it, Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yep.
Has the fans that suck it on the ground. Maybe they just took that, turned the fans upside down, and instead of creating downforce, it's creating a bunch of lift and it's flying.
Did you ever hear the story of, and I gotta see if I can find it. This is a really interesting follow. So there's been a push right over the years since EV, kind of became relevant to get I guess mass transportation as far as like trucking, shipping set into that. Have you seen the story of the Nikola Corporation?
No.
Okay. I will, this is something that would be really good to share on the podcast.
See, I've seen Edison. Have you seen that?
I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. So this Nikola Corp had created this truck, this semi-truck, if you will.
Yeah.
And had taken on all of these investments, or all these investors' money, and had built a prototype. Actually, this is interesting. How GM lost.
Yeah, what's
Was
that
that
number?
billion?
$2 billion?
$2 billion on a semi-truck because they were scammed by Nikola.
Man.
So this semi here, and it's pretty cool looking. But there's this video. They did a big old press release.
Right.
And I guess somebody suspected at the press release at the show that they kind of did that this thing wasn't even operational.
Okay.
And I don't remember exactly the details why. They saw something that was like, hey, this thing can't even drive. And they claimed in the press release that they drove it in. And then they did this video out in the desert somewhere. I don't know if it was Utah or California or where exactly. And the shot was really cool, but it did not have any sort of functioning motor. They basically just pushed it and let it coast.
Yeah.
And they were pulling the wool over everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
And then they finally got, there was a whistleblower and the whole thing got blown up.
I'm reading in July of 21, a federal grand jury indicted the founder and former CEO, but didn't indict the company. But he was charged with 3 counts of criminal fraud and 2 counts of securities fraud.
Yeah.
And then on February 19th of this year, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yeah, he had bought like a unbelievably nice estate, spent all kinds of money, and obviously investor money,
Yeah.
as they're building this company as a fraud.
Yeah.
And but it happens. That's the thing. Like there are no real shortcuts when it comes to pioneering new stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy story. There's a show called American Greed that has a really good episode on it. We could probably put the link in.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something that kind of goes in the automotive, like, it'd be great to find potentially a more cost-effective way to ship cargo, from the East Coast to the West Coast. At the end of the day, I think we've done a fairly decent job in the U.S. as far as being able to handle that type of stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of transportation talk with. There was a story that came out a while back about between the United States and I think London doing essentially a underground train tunnel that would go under the ocean.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't know that I have any interest in getting on that thing. But I
Right.
guess it would make it like they said maybe a 2-hour trip, something like that. I don't remember the speed that it went at, but
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, transportation's not going away, right? It's
Right.
changing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, that Edison Motors I was talking about. So they do diesel hybrid motors.
Okay.
So it runs off of EV motors, but it's a diesel motor powering the electric motors.
okay,
And
is that what they're looking at putting in the Scout?
yes.
Okay.
One of the options is that it's like a VW gas motor, and then it powers the electric. But the Edison, they've been doing this for a few years. I found them on TikTok probably like 6 years ago.
Okay.
They're based in Canada, and I think they're getting pretty close to launching. I could be wrong, but they're making retrofit packages for old school cabs,
Oh, nice.
and then you're able to put that into like an old Kenworth or an old Mac. So
Interesting.
they're not necessarily manufacturing their own whole thing. but,
Excellent
like,
example of the aftermarket
yeah,
right there, right?
They're up and working. Like they
That's cool.
are logging in Canada with them. And I don't know how far they're driving. Obviously, it looks like a brick and not doing much. But like for it to be doing anything is more than like you were saying the Nikola brand pushing a car across the desert.
Well, and think about that. Like, how many vehicles out there are still functional, but maybe they just need updated, right?
Right.
It's like a house. Do you tear the whole house down, or do you do a remodel
Yeah.
and update all of the, appliances and windows and mechanicals and stuff like that to just
Yeah.
bring it up to efficiency? And you can do the same thing with vehicles.
Yeah. Problem is your return on investment if you're doing a full kind of deal like that. Like I know the EV swaps are popular amongst some wealthy people with
Yeah.
old vehicles they really like, but like
Right.
they're not getting their money back if they decide to sell that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's
maybe as technology changes, but
it's a passion thing, right? Like
Yeah.
you really have a love for that particular vehicle, and you just want to update, the platform so it becomes more functional for you.
Right.
Or, I don't know. I mean, with car ownership kind of being up and down, and people doing more of the lease,
Right.
option,
Yeah.
like how's that affecting? I mean, we've seen the effects of just in our area, the effects of home ownership's gone down, rent's gone, through the roof. But I think that's kind of the similar thing in the automotive is people are looking at it and saying, you know what, there's nothing wrong with my vehicle. Let me spend a little bit of money on it, make it what I want,
Yep.
and avoid, the big upfront bill of buying a brand new vehicle and having a payment.
Yep, and the interest rates are up right now. It's like the whole thing. Yeah, I keep seeing cars. I'm like, that'd be nice to have. And then I think, I have no interest on what little I have left on my car, so I'm going to continue to just kind of
Chip away.
in that.
Chip away.
Yeah. But one more topic. It's pretty cool. The IHRA buying all kinds of drag strips across Ohio, Michigan, and Maryland. I think are the locations.
Nice.
Well, not Maryland. So Maryland International Speedway said they did not sell to the IHRA. The IHRA has not updated any of their things to say that they did not purchase it, and they put it in an error. So who knows what miscommunication that was, but all the other tracks have not put out statements saying. So they at least bought, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks.
Yeah, that's good.
So 3 in Ohio, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in Michigan, 1 in South Carolina.
All right, so maybe an hour and a half after we finished recording the podcast, 2 other racetracks along with Maryland International Raceway have said that they are not officially they have not officially been acquired by the IHRA. Gallot Motorsports Park in North Carolina has said that they have not been acquired, and Darlington Dragway in South Carolina have said that they have not been acquired. However, 2 tracks have said that they are in the transition period of being acquired by the IHRA. Dragway 42 in Milan Dragway, Milan in Michigan, and Dragway 42 in Ohio has said that they are currently in the transition process. But there are still 2 tracks that have not said anything. National Trail Raceway, which is just outside Columbus, and Killcare Raceway, which is also in Ohio, so they've not said anything. But some of the language from the 3 tracks that have said they've not been acquired, it sounds like they're just saying they haven't been acquired yet. So there's still a bunch of questions surrounding the statements the IHRA put out. They still have not put out any clarifying statements. So they have only made their first one, and despite other tracks saying this hasn't happened, the IHRA has not come in and refuted or rebutted anything that they've said. So I just wanted to hop in here, kind of give some clarification that's happened since then. And I mean, obviously it happened an hour and a half after, but we'll keep you updated if anything else happens in the future.
Well, maybe that's a sign of the cloud lifting over, the automotive racing a little bit. There was, I think for the longest time, over the last, 10, 12 years, kind of a cloud over, doing stuff to your vehicle and the racing and stuff like that. And, I get we want to protect the environment, and, there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. But also I think, from an automotive standpoint, the racing's good. It's done a lot to advance, stuff, both in the automotive industry, but just in general, it's an awesome hobby to be a part of. So it's good to see stuff like that. Hopefully that is a positive.
It's exciting to see an infusion into some really popular tracks, especially if we've seen some get sold, and like major tracks across the U.S. have been sold in the last few years. And to see, a corporation come in and say, yeah, we want to make sure that these aren't going anywhere. Yeah, it's huge. So,
well, I think the whole how do you make money has shifted, right, as advertising has changed.
Yeah. That's another thing. They are starting their own IHRA TV, and they announced a bunch of new partnerships. So, exactly like you're saying, they have found a way that they're saying, okay, if we do this, we can make money by broadcasting and having ads and moving into the modern age of, sporting.
I think NASCAR probably did it the best out of any of them, just did a phenomenal job in terms of how they did the sponsorships and the marketing and stuff like that. And then marketing changed dramatically with the advancement in social media and stuff like that, that it was kind of like a lot of those sponsors were like, well, I'm not sure how we afford to do this now. So
well, and I think that's where F1 moved in, putting the investment in on that Netflix series, and then having their own streaming, and they loosened, because at one point you couldn't put like F1 stuff on YouTube, like if it was on the broadcast.
Oh, interesting.
They loosened some of that up, where like if you're doing commentary to an extent. I think they've tightened it back down a little bit now that they've gotten, the benefits of it.
Yeah.
But for a while, like, you obviously couldn't upload a full race, but if you were making a Joe compilation or you were commentating, like, you could use some of the broadcast. So, like, they were probably, I think, because NASCAR has always been popular in the U.S., and the F1's had its ups and downs, and it was down for a while, and then I think they they made the right moves into marketing, but they were bought by like a media and marketing company.
Yeah.
Liberty Media. So like someone came in and was like, this is the future, this is where we're going. So having, the people who know where things are going can make a big difference.
Yeah.
But a lot of other racing series are finally starting to follow suit, and it seems like it's helping a lot with their own numbers.
Yeah.
I know NASCAR has their own Netflix series. I think I tried to watch some of it. I wasn't super into it. I think it was just kind of how they were shooting it. I've watched some of IndyCar's thing, but it was through like the CW, and it was kind of awkwardly shot. But
Well, it's like anything. It's like the NBA, right? I think there's a real conversation right now on who's going to be the identity and the face of the NBA over the next, several years.
Right.
And lead you into the future. You have the same thing that happens, with NASCAR.
Right.
And
yeah, you had the era of Earnhardt Jr. and
Yep.
Gordon and
Yep.
Jimmy Johnson and all
and
of
so
that.
those storylines sell themselves, right? When you
Right.
have that competition and those battles and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's, it's kind of what makes it, and you want it to be safe, but also, you're pushing the limits. So some of the
Right.
crashes, like you're not really seeing them now in NASCAR like you used to.
Yeah.
But some of the crashes were wild.
Yeah, well, and they've had a few as of late that they had a big flip a few weeks ago.
NASCAR did?
Yeah,
I must have
and-
missed it.
And people were up in arms about it. So they're like, you said these cars would not flip.
Wow.
And it was a pretty nasty.
Was it?
Luckily, the safety
Yeah.
requirements as a whole, the guy walks out, he's probably banged up, but he's okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's wild.
compared to what it used to be.
I'll have to go back and look at that one.
But yeah, like you're saying, who's the next face of the NBA? The best player in the league right now, is not exactly a personality. Jokic is not really a personality. I would say he's probably the best player in the league right now. Did you see one of his recent stat line?
No.
Like 32 points, 23 rebounds, 21 assists.
Oh, man.
First ever 30, 20, and 20 game. But then after the game, he probably just kind of like, I play basketball.
I play basketball
right,
and
like-
I ride little horses.
Right, like, he's not your, crazy face. Like, LeBron never did anything insane, but he brought personality and kind of talked the talk, and, he had the shoe deals, and he was doing stuff. So,
Yeah.
he was the face, and he was did the face well.
Yeah,
Jokic is not that.
I kind of feel like, as much as I love the storyline of father-son playing together, I feel like this whole thing's blown up in his face.
Yeah.
It's gotten messy.
Yes.
I'm
stuff
sure you
with
saw the
Stephen
Stephen
A.
A. Smith
Yeah.
stuff. And the sad part is, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I get LeBron, like, hey, it's my son, like, leave it alone. And I get what his goal was,
Right.
but man, that's a lot of pressure to put on Bronny.
Yeah.
And, it's.
To be fair, I think he's been performing well in the G League from what I've
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah, he has.
But there's a lot of pretty good ball players in the G League that the NBA is another level.
Yeah.
I watched.
Well,
a guy
he's
made
got a target on his back, right?
Yeah.
So it's either going to feel one of two ways. He gets in a game, and it's like, oh, other guys are just letting him do what what he wants,
Right.
to appease
Right.
LeBron,
Right.
or everybody's going to lock him down and give him a bunch of crap.
Right. Like, you're not all
And-
that. You shouldn't be here.
And so
Right.
now, they're playing him even harder than they normally would.
Right.
Because he's got that target on him. So,
Yep.
I don't know. It's a tough situation. So it'll be interesting to see how
that goes.
that storm plays out.
Yep.
But
Obviously, he wants to play in the NBA, but the G League's full of playing good basketball too. I watched a guy made a compilation. It was Frank Kaminsky and it was Timmy from Gonzaga.
Yeah. Okay.
They were going back and forth in the G League. They were
Nice.
they were on different teams, and I was watching. I was like, these are guys that their size and things can't make them compete in the NBA.
Yeah.
But they have the footwork and the skills to still play at a high level. And I was like, this is almost more entertaining than the NBA.
But this is where the NBA's got to shift their focus.
Right.
The NBA has said for years that certain people of this build or size or skill set don't fit, their product.
Yep.
And I I think you're now starting to see how that's hurt them, because what they've done is they've gone and brought in all these Euro players that essentially are those guys that you're kind of talking about to an extent. They have a different type of game.
Right.
And it's been successful.
Yeah.
Like a Luka.
Yeah.
It's been successful.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's one of those things where we just want pure basketball back.
Right.
Like, if that's somebody dunking on somebody, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
If that's somebody like a Steph Curry that has unbelievable range,
right.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Like, but let's get back to where, we actually have a higher quality, a higher standard of defense, and we're playing the game like that.
Some of the difficulty is, like, you can play perfect defense on some of these guys, and it just doesn't matter.
It doesn't
like,
matter.
The offense is so good, and it's like to the product's own detriment.
Well, they know offense sells.
Yeah.
That's why they did that. I think you're seeing the same thing with football,
Yep.
and college and in the NFL.
Yep. Which is part of why no one thought the Eagles would win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
A run-heavy offense that's built around an offensive line. Like, that's the complete opposite of how the league's been going. The league's been going, Patrick Mahomes, electric through the air.
Yep. Protect
crazy
the quarterback.
passes.
If anybody gets within 10 yards of them.
Well, Josh Allen making crazy throws too. Like, all of these guys, like, it's all about having your quarterback that's making flashy throws. And the Eagles come in, they're like, we're paying this running back, and he's going to be our best player. Well, you can't win like that. And then now it's blown up the whole market.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's there's a lot of, kind of going back to what you were saying about the G League, there's just a lot of, we've watched the top, right? The NFL, the NBA, NCAA, but there's a lot of, like...
You take a step or two down.
Excuse me.
All right.
You take a step or two down, there is a lot of really good quality.
But the flaws are what make it entertaining.
Yep.
Like, that's what makes March Madness and all of that so exciting to watch. Is like, these are 90% great teams, but then a team that's 80% great can exploit that 10% on that 90. Whatever. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But, like, the worst team can exploit the flaws.
Yeah.
And make it work and cause an upset. In the NBA, like, you've got a team that's 100% great, 110% great.
Well, that's what makes the Cavs, if you're following NBA at all, the Cavs basketball this year, they don't have a superstar. Like, Donovan Mitchell's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not downgrading him.
Right.
But he's not LeBron James.
Right.
He's not a Michael Jordan.
Yeah. He's an all-star, but he's not one of the starters. He's not a,
Darius Garland, same thing. Like, I think he is a very similar player to, like, a Kyrie Irving. But these guys are guys that didn't have the brand name
prior to,
and that are coming in and doing it and building that together at the same time as winning a ton of games. And it's awesome to watch because it's pure basketball, the effort, that's what people like to see. That's what March Madness is so fun to, dig into. And,
who knows, the Cavs may do what the Eagles did, where it's like, we're doing this countercultural piece and we're going to win because of it, because nobody knows how to play against it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's planning for the ISO ball, superstar does everything.
Yep.
But if you're not ready for 5 guys, then you're not going to be able to beat us.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how defenses were built. Where in the NFL, they were built to stop electric through the air. And then having to switch to trying to play against a running back, the Chiefs were really the only team that had success, but then we lit them up through the air because they had to change to the ground game. So that may be what ends up with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Like, teams are built around having 1 or 2 really good defenders to stop the superstars, and then the rest of the guys aren't great on defense, but they're good offensive weapons, where if the Cavs come in and they're good 5-on-5 both ends of the floor, well, you can't do anything against
What you're talking about is kind of what we do at Pickups Plus, right? Like, we help the customer build the right vehicle, right? You need a truck setup I'm helping a guy right now, he needs to tow. He doesn't know what he needs. And so, you work through the different scenarios of, well, here are all the options, and here's the best setup for what you're doing.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing, right? Like, Cavs, Ohio State did it this year. Like, you put the right pieces together, and you put yourself in a position to have success.
Yep.
You know, whether that's, you know, functionality of how you need to use your vehicle or how you want to use your vehicle.
Right.
Whether that's, you know, in sports, you know, you obviously coached, you take the pieces, you know, that you have and you try to, you know, say, oh, okay, you're really good at shooting, you're really good at dribbling, you're really good at rebounding, you know,
Right.
here are the things I need you to do, and focus on, and you start building stuff, and it's kind of cool to see what comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like your car.
Yeah.
Talking about your car's an awesome daily driver, but it's also something that you could go to the track and have fun
Yeah.
with, but you don't have to trailer
Yeah.
there.
My car isn't good at any one thing.
Yeah.
But it comes together into
Yep.
one good package. It's good at a lot of things, but it's not the best at any one thing, and that's what makes it a good car.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, if I would have spent the money I did on a Corvette, yeah, it would be way better performance. It would be sweet, but like then I'm not getting the small size, you know, package of the Golf. I'm not getting the rear hatch with a ton of storage space.
Yep.
I'm not getting, you know, a 4-cylinder with better gas mileage, you know, but I'm getting a better race car with the Corvette. But then like if I get, you know, a SUV, I've got all the storage space that I could want.
Right.
But then I don't have the handling characteristics.
Well, that's why one of
It's
my
like-
vehicles is like the 2011 Suburban. You know, it's that vehicle that I have a big family, got to haul things around,
Right.
but it's got a great motor,
Yep.
power plant, you know, and so it's like, yeah, I know it's not going to be fast in relative terms of
Right.
like, you know, a car that weighs way less, but
it's good at
it
the
was
one thing it
fun
needs
to add
to
the
do.
supercharger to it,
Right.
to boost not only the enjoyment of driving it and the fact that, you know, we can haul, you know,
How much
8
more,
people
right.
and a ton of cargo, but we can now also pool better,
Right.
because we've got that additional, you know, torque.
Right.
And so, you know, it's one of those things where, do you need it? My argument is, why don't you need it?
Right.
Right? No, I
Right.
mean, after having it, it's like,
Yeah, who doesn't want a supercharged?
it's like, why do I still
Yeah.
have this 2011? But it's like, I can't pull myself
right.
to get rid of it because we use it. It's a great daily
It
driver.
does exactly what it needs to do.
Yeah, and heck, that thing is approaching 250,000 miles.
Yeah.
I did say it was supercharged, right? So, like, at this point, I'm kind of like, do I just run this thing
Yeah, till the wheels fall
to
off.
500,000 miles and
Right.
see
Yeah.
if it'll go that far?
And if it's already made it that far.
But I mean, we'll get in that thing and take it on trips all the time. I mean, we took it to New York not too long ago. You know, up to northern Michigan. Like, it's gone to Florida, Carolinas. Like, I mean, we'll jump in that thing and take it just about anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. We like building purpose driven things.
Yep.
And so whether that's just you have a need for one solution, you need to keep your cargo, you know, dry, or, you know, in your truck bed from flying out. We've got all kinds of tonneau covers. But
Right.
then when it comes to other solutions, like we like kind of building the whole thing, right? Like, you know, you've gone through and solved problems on your cars. I think the last thing we did was you did the sway bar end links, like,
Or the whole sway bar.
oh, the whole sway bar, yeah. And so, you know, you start looking at little bits and pieces and, you know, some of the benefits of changing this
Right.
versus that.
Yep.
And it's a fun game to play.
Absolutely.
It's way better than a drug problem.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've got a shoe
Or a
problem.
drinking
so
problem.
I've got a shoe problem, so I don't know how good that is. But all right. We're good to, I think, wrap it up.
Yeah. Yeah, wrap it up, check, see if our tax returns hit our bank accounts yet.
Right.
Oh, wait, I had to pay.
Yeah, I don't think I've even done mine yet. My dad does most of mine, so
Nice.
I'm just waiting on him to.
Does your dad want to do my taxes?
I don't think so. He
No.
already hates doing all of the taxes already.
All right, well.
And I try to tell him I'll do it, and he says no. So I'm like, okay, well, if you're willing to do it, then I'm not
yeah.
going to.
I mean,
I'm not
technically,
gonna
if he
fight
gets something wrong, it's on him, right?
It's happened before.
They come knocking at the door.
Well, it's usually like, yeah, you're like, you know, a little bit short. Okay, well, here's the $20 or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, well, and it's so dumb. You know how much I owe. Just tell me how much I owe.
Yeah, why do I have to play the game? Yeah, it's kind of. I always wondered that myself.
Yeah. You submit
sure why
it.
they
Hey,
set it up
you're,
that way.
you're short this much money. Okay, so if you knew, why didn't you tell me? Oh, you overpaid us. Okay, again, whatever. The good old government.
Yep.
Tax.
Fun.
But all right, well, it was good to be back and do it, and hopefully we're back on track. We're catching back up.
Yeah, we're catching back
after
up.
being super busy. So
that's right.
Yes.
Get on what? Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
YouTube.
Yeah, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all of it's there.
Yeah.
So
Tell us what you want to see.
Yeah. If you're listening to this on one platform and you would have rather on another, it's on all of them now. So
Yeah.
it's pick your poison. But we'll have some fun stuff coming up on social media though. We're doing a little March Madness tournament.
Yes.
We're doing a little giveaway with that. So stay tuned on socials to keep in touch
You guys
with
can
that.
be a part of that.
Yeah, and we're planning some more giveaways too. So we had our one like a month ago.
Yep.
So we're planning on having another one
Soon, very soon.
Yeah. So
yeah, we'll keep it going. We're excited to just kind of hang out with you guys and
keep it going.
keep it rolling.
Hopefully we'll have some guests soon. I know we keep talking about it, but it's starting to become a bit more concrete. We're slowly mixing it up. We'll get some guests on.
And we're waiting for some equipment to show up. So
Yes.
we get the right equipment, it makes it easier.
Yes.
So
But, all right. Well, we will see you in the next one.
yep. See you
Take
guys.
care.